afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our webinar, How to Create a Successful Email Newsletter. My name is Jill Bastian. I'm the Training and Education Manager here at Vertical Response, and joining me today is Megan Buell. She's one of our marketing team. Before we jump into our webinar, there's a couple things I'm going to mention. First of all, the number one question that we get after the end of every webinar is this being recorded? So I'll tell you now, yes, it is being recorded. And we're going to send you a follow-up email after our webinar is over, and we'll include a link to this recorded webinar for you. It'll also be available on our How to Do Everything website under Best Practices, so you can always go there as well. The other thing I'm going to mention is once the webinar is over, we're going to go ahead and have a Q&A. So we'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. There's a window in your GoToWebinar window. There's actually a box that says questions, and you can go ahead and type in your questions, and then at the end we'll answer as many of them as we can. So with that, let's go ahead and get started.
Hello, everyone. My name is Megan, and I'm going to quickly go over the agenda with you. First, we're going to talk about the purpose of having a newsletter and what it can do for your business. Second, we will go over the important elements that should be included in your newsletter to ensure its success. Third, we will go over various design tips. And fourth, we will go over what you can learn from your newsletter. So why we have a newsletter. Newsletters build relationships. People buy from people, so you want to keep the relationship going with emails. Stay in front of your audience. By mailing at least once per month, your company will stay in your recipient's mind. So when you do need when your customer does need the product that you provide, they will come to you first. Also, establish yourself as an expert. You know your company and products better than anyone, so tell your recipients you are an expert and provide the information they need. Sell our products and services. The purpose of your newsletter is not meant to only sell your products and services, but it's a great opportunity to offer any promotions you may have going on or provide any information about new products and services that your company may have.
So we're going to go over some keys to a successful newsletter in the next few slides for you. And we'll also have some examples as well later on, so you guys can have a look at what we're talking about. So the slides that we're going to go over will include information about the from label, the subject line, of course the content of your newsletter, call to actions, and then also how to add images to your emails.
So the from label. From label and subject line are probably the most important elements of your email. These are what are going to get your recipients to open your email. The from label should be your company name. That is generally how they will recognize you and know who is sending them an email. You can use a person's name if your recipients will recognize that over your company name. If you're a realtor, for example, they may know your name more than your company. Our system will automatically pull your company name from the account section so that you don't have to fill this in, but you can change it if you like. The subject line. Once your recipients know who is sending the email, the subject line will be what makes them want to open it. You want to make sure it's something that will make them want to open it, maybe something like spring specials, up to 50% off, or don't miss out on these special savings. You also need to make sure it has something to do with the content of your email. This is required by the CAN-SPAM law. Keep the number of characters between 40 and 50. When entering your subject line in our system, it will count the number of characters for you and will let you know when you are in that 40 to 50 range. Using all caps and overusing punctuation will increase the chance that your newsletter ends up in the spam folder, so use them sparingly.
So you definitely want to make sure, the reason that we ask you to stick to 40 to 50 characters on your subject line is not that we're trying to limit you, but most email clients out there have a limitation and they'll truncate at about 50. So you can certainly have a longer one, but not all of your recipients are going to be able to see the information that you put in your subject line if you do go that long. So you kind of want to keep it short and sweet so that your recipients can get all the information you're trying to get to them in the subject line. And then the rest of the information that we're including here Part of it has to do with spam filters. Certainly, using caps and overusing punctuation is something that spam filters are looking for. So if you look at the examples up at the top of this slide, these are some things not to do. The top one is all caps. The word free is broken up in the second one. That's something that um, a lot of spammers will do, and it's definitely something spam filters are looking for. So you want to make sure that you keep your subject line from doing some of these types of things that we know that spam filters are looking for.
Content. Keep readers coming back for more. Make sure you have content that is relevant to your recipients and the content you promised when they signed up for your newsletter. Limit your topics. You want your email to be readable and easy to scan. By limiting the topics or articles, your recipients will have an easier time reading the email and find the info they want. A really long email is hard on you to write and hard on your recipients to have to read. Most people won't make it to the bottom of a really long email, so keep their interest with the short but specific articles and, are, and your most important content close to the beginning of your email as possible. Include lots of links in your email. Links will help your recipients find your site or a particular product at your site. Including lots of links will make sure that they can get to your site easily. Personalize your message. If you have the first name of your readers, it's a great idea to merge their first name into the newsletter somewhere. If you don't have their first name, you can default the merge field to say something like Dear Vertical Response Customers or Dear Valued Customer. Assistant scanning. Don't be afraid of white space. It's easy on the eyes and makes it easier for the reader to scan. Content ideas. So webinars, you probably use case studies and customer quotes in traditional email marketing. It can work just as well in webinar promotions. You can include links to previous webinars in your current invitations and call out the benefits of attending one of your events by letting a recent attendee explain what he or she got out of the experience. Holidays. Holidays are a great way to promote your product, take advantage of how your product relates to upcoming holidays. So, for example, use your refund sale. Encourage your early bird filers to use their refunds for a great discount, or even entice anyone with a refund by giving a discount. Mother's Day ideas. Mother's Day is coming up, and it generated over $14 billion last year. Use this to your advantage. If you're a spa, restaurant, winery, or anything that might be enticing to a mother, promote it in your newsletter. Don't be afraid to be creative either. Dads are always looking for something new and different. Social media. Recently, a local bakery here in San Francisco sent out an email to celebrate their 20th anniversary. They asked their email recipients to become a fan of their Facebook page, and then they would give them a free coupon for a free cookie. A great idea not only to promote their anniversary, 20 years is a long time, but also to drive their Facebook fan page. Um, and they have really great cookies, so that email was forwarded a lot, especially here at Vertical Response. But a viral email like that is great for getting your company name out there and getting new signups for your email list and for social media.
And also, a holiday doesn't necessarily mean a holiday that's on the calendar that you get a day off for. Maybe your business doesn't necessarily do something that is good for Valentine's Day or something. Um, an example is today, actually, I received an email from the NFL shop. I like football. And the subject line said 2010 draft sale. 3 special offers, make your selection. Today's draft day, if you don't follow the NFL, so this is the day that the teams get to pick their new players. So that's a really cute subject line. It definitely got my attention so much that I'm including it in this webinar. And then the email itself said, you are on the clock. What's your selection? And then you get 3 choices. You can get 15% off a purchase, free shipping, or 10% off of, or I'm sorry, 20% off of $100 purchase. So the draft is definitely not your traditional holiday, but it's a great idea that they had to tie that into their business. So maybe your business has something maybe not necessarily with the NFL draft, but maybe there's something that's really particular to your business or organization that you could work into being a holiday where you could have a special promotion like this. You can really kind of think of things that are coming up on the calendar that maybe isn't a traditional holiday that will do some great business for you guys.
Also, include surveys and questions. They don't necessarily have to be questions about your specific company, but maybe something related to your industry or even a current event to keep your audience engaged.
Oh, whoops, I flipped the slide too soon.
Oh, I'm a little
Sorry.
confused. Okay, more content ideas. Include a link for a good cause. Amber Cleve, our marketing specialist here at Vertical Response, brought it to my attention that a number of businesses are doing just that, using their regularly scheduled newsletters and including links to donate to the Red Cross and other organizations to help. At Vertical Response, you may have noticed a link to in our newsletter to donate directly. Since we're already communicating with our recipients, it seemed like a no-brainer to use our list to help out. Do we get a benefit from it? You bet. Knowing we could have helped out in any way was good enough for us. Also, including a picture of yourself or your employees makes for a personal email, and your recipients will like knowing who's at the other end of your emails. Your emails give your company personality, so show that through them and show them your personality, show them your people. Some more ideas for great content. Ask for referrals from your current customers, promote new releases, products, or listings, send companies send coupons or discounts, say thank you to your customers, they'll appreciate that, or announce upcoming events. In the next few slides, we'll go over some of these ideas and actual emails that have been sent out. So this email shows a good way to add related content and think outside of what your company does. This woman is a chiropractor, but um, since she is also promoting health, she includes a recipe of the month as well as the vertebrae of the month, a cute play on words, and a nice way to add more content. The only thing that I would change here is to add a call to action. There should be a link to her website or even a coupon for a service, and she is missing that in this. But other than that, it's great. Um, in this email, you'll see the navigation bar at the top of the email there in the right-hand corner. If you have a long email or even special sections in your email, a navigation bar will make it a lot easier for your recipients to find what they are looking for and what is, most attractable to them. Um, Customer photos are always a great way to keep your audience engaged. You'll see here that Lawrence Street Gallery put a ton of photos of their people and their audience. People will love looking to see if they or someone they know are in the email, and it's a great way to show real people with your product. It's also a good idea to include customer testimonials, and the happy faces in the email definitely count. The fish wrapper. This shows you that you don't have to be all about the content of your email to be from your company or about your company. If you find other articles that relate to your industry, products, or company, include that info in your email. It may be hard to see on your screen, but the red circled area here is from the Harvard Business Report.
Okay, again, this might be a little hard for you to see on your screen, but the circled part is showing how this company is letting their subscribers know how they've signed up to receive the email. This company emails every few months. They don't email on a regular basis. So to make sure that the recipients know why they're getting the email, they include that information, and that's always great, especially if you mail once a month or if you mail quarterly. We would definitely recommend that you mail at least once a month. That's going to help with your open rates. That's going to keep your audience engaged because you definitely want to keep your recipients coming back, coming to your website, making purchases, attending your events, whatever it is that you're sending your email out about. So you definitely want to keep your information in front of them. So at least once a month is what we would recommend. And this one is showing how easy it is to scan this email. So you can see this is broken up into sections, and it makes it really easy for the recipients to be able to see what's going on in the email and get to the part that they want to get to. It also has a great photo of the people who work at the winery. And again, it's always fun to have pictures of your employees or pictures of you so that your recipients know who they're working with. And this was a really great idea. This is incorporating a current event or holiday, so kind of like my NFL draft email that I got today. This was sent out around Girl Scout cookie time, and what this wine store did was paired Girl Scout cookies with wines. So you can see the pictures on the left of the different Girl Scout cookies, and then they had their recommendations of what wines would go nicely with the different types of cookies. So that's really cute and very timely for the time of year that they sent the email. They also have in the top right-hand corner a poll. It's a great way for you to interact with your recipients. This particular one is did you know? And then you can try to figure out what the right answer is. But you could also include something like frequently asked questions. So if you have questions that people ask your company a lot or questions about your product, you could include that as a poll. Or even you can poll your recipients for questions that they have. So you can use a poll in a lot of ways, and it keeps your recipients interactive with you. And this one is also a fun idea. This is Pet Camp, and what the email says is that they asked their campers to review them on Yelp. And for any 5-star review that they received on Yelp, they would buy lunch for their employees. So this is a great way for them to build up their reviews on Yelp, a great social media interaction. And they also, by doing this, are encouraging their employees to make sure everyone who comes to this particular pet camp have a great experience. So call to action. You've heard us mention this a little bit today. And basically what a call to action is you're trying to have your recipients do something with your email. You want to have them go to your website and sign up for something. You want to have them go to your website and buy. So you want to make sure that your call to action is clear and concise so that your recipients know what it is that you want them to do. You want to make sure that you're sending people where they would expect to go. So if they're looking at a new product that you have, you want to make sure you're sending them to that particular page on your website so they're getting the information that they're expecting. If you're having them sign up for an event, that they're going to information about the event. So make sure you're doing that. It's also kind of fun to add a time element. Well, maybe not fun, but adding a time element will give them more of an incentive to take action. So again, to draw on the NFL email that I received today, I had a countdown in my email that told me I had 3 days, 11 hours, and 22 minutes to take action with my 3 options. So that was fun, and that was definitely a way to get my attention to make me think, oh, I really need to go and check out what they have on their website. So an example is on the screen of the different types of time elements that you could have. You can have sale ends soon. Click here to get 10% off, or you have 3 days to use this, or sale is extended through the end of the week, something like that to get people to go. These are some other call to actions that you could include. Learn more by clicking here. That might be something that you're already using. Download this white paper today. Click here to purchase whatever your great product is that you're trying to get people to buy. Click here to read more so they can continue to read more about whatever article that they have. You also probably want to think about using a button for a call to action. Some of the examples that we have here, for instance, learn more by clicking here, would probably be set up as a link in your email, and here would just be a link that your recipients could click on. But including a button that says register now or click here or more info is something that's going to get your recipients' attention more, and you'll have a much higher click-through rate on a button that tells them what to do than waiting for them to click on a link. So we have some examples of some emails that are using some great call to action. Um, this one, they're on the top and the bottom, so they're kind of that green color. It says explore our exclusive selection of gourmet coffee in the middle, and then underneath each image it says click here to learn more. So that's a great button for call to action. It tells them exactly what they need to do and what they're going to get when they get to the page. So it's very clear for their recipients. The one thing that I would probably change in this newsletter is that black background. It's really hard to read a black background with white text. It's very hard on people's eyes. So I would recommend that they switch that to white with black text. I realize their name is Black Star, so that's kind of cool that it's like that. But you also want to keep in mind that your recipients, you don't want to strain their eyes when they're reading your email. Otherwise, they'll leave it, and they're not necessarily going to do what you want them to do, go to your website. So make sure you're designing your email with that in mind as well. So images, everybody likes to use images in their email, or you should be liking to use images in your email. So you want to think about your audience when you're adding images to your email. So include images of things that they want to see, products that you offer, people, as we gave in our examples before, something that's relevant in your email. You also want to think about the size of the images that you're including. Not everyone has a high-speed connection, so if you have a lot of images or if you have very large images, it can be tough for slower connections to wait for them to download, and they might get frustrated and just give up on your email. So you want to make sure you have a balance of text and images. You want to make sure that you link your images. As we mentioned before at the beginning of the webinar, you want to include a lot of links in your email to ensure that your recipients have an easy way to get to your website. And one of the places you should include a link is your images. Most people these days know they can click on an image and it's going to take them somewhere. So use that as another way for your recipients to get to your website or to see your products. If you have a logo in your email, definitely link that to your website. If you're showing products, definitely link that to whatever product you're talking about. The 80-20 rule that's up here, it's not really a rule, but it's a good idea. And we're going to go over that in an upcoming slide in more detail because that's a good thing to follow. Always add alt text. Um, Alternative text, alt text, is added to the back of your images. So if images are being blocked in an email program, and a lot of them do that these days, instead of seeing a broken image icon, your recipients will see whatever text you add here. So you can call the image whatever it is, the Golden Gate Bridge, a picture of coffee, or you could have it another place to add a call to action. So you could call it specials up to 50% off to help encourage your recipients to turn on the images to see what's on special. So let's take a look at some of our examples of emails with great images. So this one is a nice balance of images and text. It's easy to scan. As we said, you want to make it easy for your recipients to get the information they need. And it's easy to see what the call to action is. They can click here to learn more about amazing new brushes, click here for instructions. It's really easy for them to see what they need to do. And they've even included a picture of the owner. The image of the man at the bottom is the guy who actually owns this. They would also want to make sure that they have alt text behind all of their images, and definitely make sure it's something like cruelty-free brushes, and then they could even have a link to go see those. The column on the left is great, and it has more links to take them to different parts of the website where they can see photos and other tips that they offer. The only thing that I would change on this particular one is that the peach color with the white text is really hard to see. The other thing that I'll point out is the 80-20 rule. You generally want to have about 80% text and 20% images. And this is a nice balance. So you can see there's plenty of text in this email, and there's plenty of enough images to get the message across. The reason that you want to have a little bit more text than images is, like I said earlier, if your recipient's email client is blocking images, what they're going to see is text, and then your alt text if you have that set up. So you want to make sure that the primary information you're trying to get to your recipients is in the text of your email, not in the image. You also want to make sure that your email is not comprised of just images, because that will cause spam filters to filter out your email, because they're definitely looking for that. So just try to keep a nice balance, and that's what this one's showing you. So now we're going to give you some tips for your newsletter. And we're going to have a lot of slides just showing you some of the things that we think are a great idea for using in your email. Consistent branding, blocked images. We're going to go over that again because that's really important. The preview pane, make it easy to scan, and I've mentioned that a couple times, and then also some information on our text version.
So this first example we're going over here, Athena's olive tree. This is a great example of consistent branding. We don't have a picture of it here, but it looks very similar to their website. So the background has green leaves like their logo, and the colors tie back to their website, so that as soon as the email is opened, their recipients will already think of their website. They recognize who this is, and it just kind of has an overall great consistent branding.
So this is what I keep referring to about the blocked images. Again, as most of you know, I assume you all have email programs that you receive emails in. And most of them these days have a setting that will block the images until the recipient turns them on. And this is what happens in an email if your email is comprised of just images and the recipient is blocking them. All you see, and there's no alt text on these images, so all you see is the broken image icons and then the unsubscribe link. You definitely don't want to encourage your recipients to unsubscribe. You work too hard to build your list to have that happen, and since they don't have an alt text, the recipient really has no idea what this email is about. If they at least had set up some alt text to the back of their images, the recipient would know what was going on with the email and then turn them on. But this doesn't necessarily make anyone want to turn on the images. And then again, as I said earlier, spam filters are looking for emails that are comprised of just images. So if you think of the emails that end up in your spam folder, there's usually an image of some pharmaceutical that you have no interest in, and it goes straight to your spam folder because spam filters are specifically looking for emails that are only images. So this is one of the reasons that we tell you you want to make sure you have a good balance. Now 80-20 isn't a law. You could do 60-40, but the thing to think about here is just to make sure that you have text and images so that your email doesn't look like this. So another thing to keep in mind when you're creating your email is the preview panes on email clients. You want to make sure your email contains the most important information near the top. Megan mentioned this earlier, and this is one of the reasons why. Because if your recipients are looking at your email through the preview pane, they're only going to see so much of your email before it gets cut off or ends up below the fold, as it's often referred to. That would be that means that the main part or objective of the email is at the top before someone has to start scrolling. So once they start scrolling, then it's below the fold. So in case you were wondering what that was. One thing that we recently started doing, and if you're on our newsletter list, you might have noticed this, and if you didn't notice, go and take a look. We started adding pre-header text, and it's above our logo, and we have some information on how to whitelist our address, and then there's a call to action in there. We'll have a link that has you go to sign up for something or find out more information. But if you look at the top of the newsletters, you'll see information that's just at the top, because we know that people don't necessarily make it all the way through, and it's definitely what's going to be at the top of the preview pane.
All right, this next email is a great example of an email that's very easy to scan. It makes it easy on the reader to find the info that they need quickly. Obviously, you can see those bullets that kind of just pop out there for you, so you know exactly what you're getting. I would change the color of those, the main titles of those bullets. The they're just a little too hard to see on that white background, I would stick to more richer colors that are easier on the eyes. Also in this email, you'll notice, again, this person is not afraid of white space. This is a perfect example of that. It's very clear and it's very easy to read and attractive to the reader. Our next slide here, you will see embedded in this slide is the text version of this email that was received. And this is great because I think Jill mentioned earlier, a lot of people are getting their email on their mobile devices now, whether it's the iPhone or the BlackBerry or whatever. A lot of people are reading their email when they're just on the run, especially things like newsletters and promotional stuff. So you want to be able, you want to make sure that your readers who are doing that can read your email in a text or in a mobile device. So this is a great example of that. And yeah.
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 So after you've created your newsletter and your recipients have opened it and they've clicked on your call to action and gone to your website, we're going to show you some reporting. So there's a lot of reporting that we give you in your vertical response account, but we definitely get a lot of questions about open rates and click-through rates. And so what this slide is showing you is the best thing that you can do is compare your newsletters. So compare apples to apples. Compare your newsletters to your newsletters. You don't need to be comparing your newsletter to somebody else's, what their open rate or what their click rate is. There's so many things that go into getting people to open an email or clicking on a link that it's much better for you to compare your own newsletters and learn from what you've seen in your newsletters. So for instance, if you saw one of your newsletters that had a higher open rate, check out the subject line that you used to see what it was that you included in the subject line that got your recipients to open it. Or you can check out the time that you sent the newsletter, even the day of the week that you sent your newsletter, and try sending it out again at that time and see if you get the same kind of reporting. So it's pretty easy for you to be able to test what works for your recipients, what works for your own newsletters, for your own emails, and it's easy for you to tweak when you're sending it or what you're including to make sure that your recipients are getting what they're expecting and that you're getting the type of feedback and response from your newsletters that you're expecting. So of course, after I say all of that, you're still all sitting there thinking, but what is the average open rate? Am I close? Because every time I say that, I still get that same question. So the numbers that you're looking for is generally the average open rate is around 25%. Again, there's so much that goes into that, how often somebody mails, how old the list is. There's so much that goes into that, but around 25%. And the average click-through rate is between 1% and 3%. So that should help you get started, but definitely you'll probably have a better newsletter by comparing your own newsletter than worrying about what other people are doing. So this is going to give you a screenshot of some of the tools that we have in the account, which hopefully you're all familiar with already because you should be using vertical response. But some of the reporting that we give you is your links. So we tell you the number of times your link is clicked on. And we also rank that. So you can see in the screenshot here, the top one, the top clicked link is at the top of the list here. So you can go through and figure out which links are working the best and what your call to action is, for instance, and see what you need to continue to add to your email. So this is a screenshot from one of our own accounts, and the top link is a link to our blog with 4 subject lines that people can use, and the second one is a step-by-step guide to email marketing success. And we, because of what we do, find that guides are very popular. So you might have some kind of a white paper that you offer on your website, so you might want to include that information in your newsletter and see if your recipients want to have that kind of information as well. You can filter the information that you see on your reporting page, and then the chart at the bottom is a comparison. So if you haven't checked it out in your account, in the reporting section, you can actually compare up to 5 email campaigns, and you can see what the open rates were, what the click-through rates were for your own emails, and then it makes it easier for you to be able to compare that. At the bottom of the summary page for each email, it does a little comparison, but there's actually a tab in the reporting section where you can set this up. And that's what that graph at the bottom is showing you. So you can see there's a newsletter that went out that had a 28% open rate. And that one was the best. So that would be the one I would go check out and see what was the information included in that. What was the subject line that we used in that one? When did we send it? That's the kind of information that you want to find out from your newsletters. And then test that out going forward to see if that continues to give you great responses to your newsletters. So in summary, your newsletter is a great way for you to build a relationship. As Megan mentioned earlier, people buy from people, not necessarily companies. So this is one way for you to keep that relationship between you and your customers. It also helps keep you top of mind when they need whatever it is that you offer. So maybe it isn't a product that they're purchasing, but a service that you offer or something like that. This is a great way to build and keep your relationships. Um, Best practices for your newsletters aren't all about selling. You definitely want to have a particular goal, a call to action for your recipients, what you want them to do, but it doesn't necessarily have to be something that you're selling. You can include articles that are important to what you do, or even something fun like a recipe of the day. Make sure that your branding is represented. We showed you some slides with information about how to keep your branding, keep the same colors as your website active in your email so your recipients connect the two. Make sure you keep in mind what your audience is going to see. So not only the type of information that you're including, so the images that you use and the content, but also how they'll view your email, the preview pane that they see on their email program, or if they are looking at the email from a handheld, if they're going to be viewing the text version, make sure your text version contains the correct information that you want them to have. And again, with the reporting, you can learn from every newsletter that you send out to make the next one even better. So now we have time for some Q&A. And let's see.